Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Tonimontana as our British. His opponent today is going to be Treadz as our Africa Corps. So some of you might remember Tonimontana as a rather cheesy player from preferring the US faction. Pretty much every game I saw his was heavy machine guns into half-tracks. But he has switched over to British for this latest patch that came out on April 29th. And I have only been seen him playing British so far. I've actually caught more than one of his games since the patch, but only one has made it onto my channel. And I'm hoping to show you this one as well, because Tonimontana's got some really strong play as the British, and I'd love to show it to you. So, while we have a quick second here, I just wanted to thank you for all the support I've gotten this last week. I love reading all your comments, and you guys have been subscribing like crazy, and I just really, really appreciate all the support. I can't thank you all enough, and I'm glad you're here. Map today is going to be Pacino Stalemate. I like this map. You don't see it as often as I would like to. They in the last patch they upped these fuel points on the side here, giving you more reason to fight on this side. Used to be that it was all about this north side with vicious fighting over these cutoff points, but nowadays you have options on where you'd like to fight. And it's got this really cool little center here, this little kind of courtyard area that leads to some nasty little flanking opportunities around the buildings, as well as some sneaky little mine placements you can get going. And yeah, I just really like this map, so excited to see what our players have in store for us. Both players opening relatively standard. A little bit of a vehicle-heavy start for our German player, which is a little less common than you might think. But went 2 Pioneers into a bike for that extra capture power, and then a 250 followed by a Panzer Grenadier. So, gonna have quite a bit of mobility, quite a bit of capture power, and a reasonable amount of fighting strength. British player, on the other hand, has gone for Royal Engineer into 2 infantry sections. Been seeing a lot of players forego that engineer in favor of an additional infantry section, but not going to be the case this game. And yeah, both players finding each other out here. Looks like these Panzer Pioneers on the flank here are going to try and take away this high fuel point from his opponent there. And Tonimontana playing a little bit of a passive game here in the middle. Just posted up in these houses here, kind of waiting for his opponent to make a move, but isn't actually controlling this territory very effectively. Does not have the munitions, does not have the victory point, so a little bit of an interesting decision from him. Grenadiers and bike getting aggressive here, trying to take away territory from his opponent. Does look like he's going to succeed at that. He wanted to get his hands on this cutoff point, but infantry section was there and ready. That said, he just won the fight, so is going to be able to pick up more territory. Infantry section's responding, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to stop this capture from happening. Oh, wow, Grenadier's finding a mine there. So that's a cool little mine placement. Potentially denying his opponent from capturing the cutoff point. Might even pick up the Grenadier. One more shot. Is going to get him. Wow. That's an unfortunate loss for our German there. And we've got a clown car situation here. That's what we used to call it in Company of Heroes 2. I don't know if it's still called that. But flamethrower in a half-track. Gonna cook some infantry on their way out. And assault grenadiers added on for our German player. So actually, I personally like doing this build that our German is doing. Get a lot of capture power and a lot of aggro and a lot of mobility. And assault grenadiers in combination with these half-tracks are so much fun to use, right? You just drive them in, bail out the assault grenadiers do their thing, and it's a fun way to play. That said, it's not that popular at a high level, so it's kind of cool that we're seeing that here. Now, I like to do this build. When I do this build, I like to go for combat half tracks and go for the 259 on that half track there, so that the half track is, doing some serious work as I rush my opponent. But looks like our German is going to instead prioritize that flak half track. So actually fairly, when you open up this way, it's a lot of capture power right in the early game, but as we're scaling into this mid-game, it's less capture power, right? Because he only has 4 units that can capture territory. That said, he has a ton of mobility, so I don't know. It's a bit of a trade-off both ways, right? Now our German player has managed to take this cutoff point, denying his opponent all this fuel. British player is going for a 4th infantry section here, so really going to have some pretty substantial firepower, and is teching up to Stuarts here. So we are going to see some Stuarts. Typically when players go for Stuarts, they go for 2 of them, with the intention of keeping both Stuarts alive and calling them off the map later. Assault Grenadiers getting that disembark bonus, allowing them to close the gap while taking very little damage. And infantry section's got to give up the position. Doesn't want to bleed any manpower there. Doesn't actually have a medical tent yet, so despite the fact there's a lot of models alive in all these infantry squads, he doesn't have a way to get them to full strength here. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him. Flak track on the wings here. And Jaegers added on for our German player, anticipating a Humber armored car perhaps. But if that's sneaky there. Infantry hiding behind the house, and the vehicle can't follow them. Funny to see that interaction taking place. Assault Grenadiers riding around looking for trouble, and they are going to find it. Going to stop this capture from happening. Lovely to see that. And German player coming out with a pretty significant map control advantage here in this early game. Taking his opponent all the way down to 370 in the first few minutes here. But with a Stuart on the way, our German player is going to have to be a whole lot more careful. Does have those Jaegers available. Where are they, by the way? Right here, chilling on the base, waiting to respond to what his opponent is doing, of course. Now, Jaegers in a half-track can be pretty scary, and I think a Stuart 3 shots at 250, if I'm remembering correctly. So, that can let the Jaegers close the distance with a Stuart pretty effectively. And wow, that infantry section took a beating there. Stuart missing its shot on the Flak Panzer. Here come the Jaegers, though. This Stuart is way out of position here. One shot from the Stuart going to connect nicely. Jaegers looking like they don't want to chase. Stuart actually missing its second shot here. Flak Panzer back in to help. Recce package being upgraded on this infantry section here. British player does not have grenades right now. So can't, British player does not have access to grenades, so can't protect his tank with this infantry if they chose to dive here, but not choosing to dive. German very strong on the bottom side. Whose mine is that? What do we think? That is a British mine there. Love seeing mines like this. If a 250 decided to dive into this area, it would have a very bad time. A second Jaeger squad on the way for our German player here. German player still has not chosen his battle group just yet. British player does have this rigorous vehicle training, so he is going to level up his vehicles more quickly. He's going to let those Stuarts hit vet 1 reasonably quickly. In fact, I'll bet you this guy's real close. Yeah, about more than halfway there. Long-range battle, going to favor these infantry sections here. But Flame Panzer are going to absolutely shred this unit in the building. Getting decent hits against him, though. Black Panzer on the wings here. Jaeger's defending the Black Panzer there. And unfortunately for him, Jaeger's firing at the infantry instead of the Stuart. Stuart going to back up just a little bit. And I hear some mines going down. So both players planting lots of mines. Second Stuart on the way, as expected. And this bike, still being alive from our German player, is great for him. Lets him get off into the wings, capture all sorts of territory, basically for free. Really annoying for a British player to deal with. I'd love to see our British player rotate up to that top side with a Royal Engineer, maybe. Capture that top victory point, perhaps throw down a mine. But German player getting aggressive here, pushing into this territory. And mechanized company on the way for our German. That's interesting. Curious what he has in mind for that building. You know, he might be responding with something like Stugs. That'd be kind of an interesting choice. Now, that's 2 Jaegers there. That Stuart does not want to be anywhere near those Jaegers. Second Stuart on the field here. Going to help out against this church. But Jaeger's getting decent hits against the Stuarts there. And closing the gap with the Royal Engineers. Nice little push by our German, gonna shove back his opponent here. British player bleeding pretty quickly here. Does need to make a move here on some victory points sooner rather than later. Is capturing that top side right now. And Stuart's getting aggressive here. It looks to me like he was wanting to bait into those mines, but it wasn't going to work out for him. Jaeger's actually pretty shredded here by the continuous focus fire from that infantry. I'm over here thinking I'd love to see our British player go for infantry training here. He's got a lot of infantry on the field that would do him some good. Stuart's continuing to sit at maximum range, blasting those Jaegers. Infantry section's got to go. He is going to see it at the last second there. Royal Engineers trying to repair up, basically continuously. And British player recognizing his opponent bailed out with all of his anti-infantry, so he's going to get aggressive here. Panzerjägers looking like they're coming up for an AT grenade, but they're going to eat a bunch of tank shells for their trouble. Got to get out of there right now. He's going to bail, but Stuart's going to chase, and that's a dead Panzer Grenadier there. So, nice pickup for our British player. Martyr on the way here. So, not going for the Stug. Interesting. Now, this is not a unit you see built very often. Martyr 3, of course. Gonna do pretty decent against these Stuarts, but, yeah, very cool. Again, not a unit you see very often. Love to see it. You know, while we're in that other view, and we have just a second, let's take a quick look at tech choices here. German player finally locking in. Finally locking in his group choice here. So going to add the armored support, going for superior fire drills, and also the flame panzer. His opponent does have this light vehicle refit, so I expect we're going to see him utilize that to switch into Crusaders here in the mid-game. And has access to this vehicle net, which we probably won't see him use, but we might. Grenades finally on the way for our British player. So that's going to be good for him. Don't see any mines in that area, so a British player not leaving behind anything for his opponent to deal with. Stuart's respecting the presence of the Jaegers. Royal Engineers finding all sorts of German mines here. Bike in the area as well. Tonimontana is going to see these mines and clean them up. So that's great for him. Assault Grenadiers on this top side. No mines in the area. Panzer Command on the way. Infantry training on the way. So infantry training is going to be freaking huge here. Now what's interesting is our British player's gone for a triple recce package. Now recce package is still good. And I think, you know, adding on recce package to increase the combat effectiveness of your units is a fine choice. That said, I think he has better options, and I would love to see him go for Bren guns instead, because the problem with triple recce package is you can't make use of all those call-ins. Stuart's actually saving the life of those Royal Engineers. They're diving in front, trying to stop that from happening. Jaeger's going to bail out. And things are starting to look really good for our British players. So, you know, I talk about it in a lot of games where I've been, you know, saying folks going for 4 infantry sections is good. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that, because he's hitting these high veterancy infantry sections, and they all have really strong weapons, so he's going to be phenomenally effective at long range. And it gets really, really scary for his opponent to have to deal with that much firepower, right? We are seeing a Panzer III added on now. Panzer III is going to be good against pretty much everything the British player currently has on the field, but it's important to remember that our British player can rotate these Stuarts off the field in favor of Crusaders if he wants to go that route. That said, our British player is only working with 100 points, 100 victory points here, so he's going to have to be very, very careful here. Infantry section does look like they're going to pick up that top point. Stuart's in the middle, waiting to respond to whatever his opponent is doing. Motorbike's still alive here. Actually in a bad position, accidentally looked like a misclick to me, but those Panzer Pioneers going to make short work of those infantry at close range. German player pushing up top with both of his Jaegers, as well as the Flak Panzer, so bringing anti-infantry and anti-tank with him. Stuart's okay with that. Now, with 2 Panzer Jaegers on the top, these Stuarts can get kind of aggressive here, and it does look like they want to do that. Looks like they're going to rotate onto this bottom side. And we'll see what he ends up doing there. Bike going to bail out. Good job by him getting away with that unit safely. Panzer Pioneers on this top side going to have a little bit of a rough retreat path, but German's going to see that and get out of there straight away. And nicely done by our German player, slowing the bleed here. And it looks like he's... Okay, I was about to say, it looks like he might be thinking about hiding the existence of his Panzer IIIs and teching up. Panzer III going to charge these Stuarts. Stuarts move slightly faster, throwing down those smoke grenades, letting them extend the distance there, and is going to make it out safely, but only barely. So nice escape there. That could have gone way south for him way quickly. Okay, very cool. He went for light vehicle training. That's something. You do not see that every day. Company command post on the way. We got to designate targets. Plane flying overhead. Gonna get shot down by the Flak Panzer, though. Nice explosion there. Do you guys remember when planes did damage to units on the ground? And planes would just fall out of the sky and kill your whole army? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Infantry section holding down this point. This house has been really annoying for our German to deal with. But that is going to be a dead. Nice mine there by our British player, leaving behind defenses, making it more difficult for his opponent to take the territory back. That building is nearly leveled here. Infantry section's hopping in these buildings, just trying to slow down these Panzer IIIs. There is a 6-pounder on the field. Where's that at? He's coming right now. We're going to see him shoot from over here in just a moment. Panzer III's happy to duel with these infantry sections. 6-pounder in position, getting a nice shot behind the church there. Should get another one. Good connections with those Panzer IIIs. That was actually fairly lucky for our British player, getting both penetrations there. Recce package here to deal with both these Panzer Pioneers. Does want to stop his opponent from taking that point. Neither player... Oh, German player currently bleeding, but now going to tie it up there. Grenade coming out at close range. Surprised to see our British player give up that position. But with all those vehicles coming in, maybe he made the right choice there. And our British player is going to have to react rather quickly here. Did swap... Okay, so that's what we're seeing, right? He's in his transition period. He's called off both Stuarts, going up to 2 Crusaders here. And those 2 Crusaders are going to do some serious work for him, but he's in this transition period where he's vulnerable. Panzer Pioneers might go down here. That'd be really good for our British player. Does look like they're going to make it out. And Royal Engineers now have to give up the position as well. Jaeger's on the top side, just going to pick up some more territory there. Pioneers still chilling in the house. And... yeah, so we're going to see some medium tank brawls here from the looks of things. German player managing to get into the middle here, and a triple cap is going to be pretty devastating for him. For a British player, that is. 6-pounder getting more good connections on the Panzer IIIs. I love that he moved his AT gun, right? He's not just sitting that AT gun in one spot, because if he was, his opponent would be able to rotate around it. So love to see that. Crusader 2 looks like it's going to come help out here. Finding those Jaegers in the house. It's not exactly a fight they want. But this looks like it's going to be pretty bad for our British player here. I mean, he does not control enough victory points to stay in this game. Panzer III rotating to deal with the Crusader. Infantry sections winning the fights against the infantry there. But with all these tanks on the field, it's going to be tough to hold this position down. German player has added on the emergency repair kits, so his units are not more combat effective, but they are going to be able to repair up. Second 6-pounder on the field, doing really good work against the Panzer III. Panzer III backing up just a little bit. Jaeger's still in this house, trying to slow down this push by the Crusaders. But both Crusaders here are going to make short work of these units. 6-pounder's actually moving up into the face of this Panzer III. Panzer III sees it, though. And nice little takeover here by our British player, blasting this house with the AT guns. Oh man, Panzerjäger's going down there. That's a little bit devastating for our German player. Clown car on the top side, flamethrower going hard there. Looks like this Crusader's going to chase down this 250. This is risky though. Panzer III's and Marauders in position. Crusader's going to get the 250 and bail out. Lots of shells bouncing off the front armor here from both players. Good connection, a rear hit somehow there. And both players just going to trade a little bit of damage and bail out. 6-pounders moving to the top side to respond to the presence of the Panzer III. But again, German player going to come away with 2 victory points here. And it doesn't look like our British player is going to be able to respond all too quickly. So despite the really, really nice army composition from our British player here, struggling to deal with what the Afrika Korps player is putting out. Infantry sections continuing to brawl it out here, going to hold down this center point. Infantry sections moving up here, going to find some Panzer Pioneers, planting a mine, and should be able to take that point back pretty quickly here. And yeah, this village has seen better days. We've already had 1 destroyed building, almost nearly 2. Oh, what a pickup. 6-pounders plus Crusaders finding that Panzer III. Crusaders also finding the second Panzer III. Getting really, really good armor penetration there, and is going to get a shot just on the retreat there. So losing 2 Panzer IIIs, I think that's going to be lights out for our German player, and he agrees. What a turnaround. Holy cow, dude. So, by the way, I've cast like 3 games today already, and that's the 3rd comeback of the day. So, what an excellent game by both players. Really, it was clearly very much on a knife's edge, and British player taking a decisive tank battle and winning pretty cleanly there. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as I did, and I will see you in the next video.